Hi folks, welcome to a long overdue update video on all things Alfa. I have to say, truth be told, I've been trying to get this video out for the last month or so, just to really coincide with the 1 year anniversary of picking the Alfa up for the very first time, which was I think February 22nd last year. It was just before my missus' birthday. Yeah, that was the plan, and then of course, as life often does, it sort of gets in the way and things have been happening and just haven't really had the time to update you. But I'm on the road just down to see my mum, day before Mother's Day. The sun is shining, I've got my sunglasses on, I've got the world's thickest coat on, so I am sweating a bit. I can't even open the window just because of the sheer amount of road noise we might experience along the way. It's been such a delay, in fact, that this video has been, that we're now post-MOT. So this is actually the first chance I've had to stretch the legs on the Alfa since I had all that work done on the rear suspension. If you've been following on at home, which I'll touch again on later. I just wanted to sort of let you know of what's life been like really over the last 12 months living with an Alfa. It's the first Alfa I've owned. I was on Facecloth last week or a few weeks ago, and a little memory came up, and it was actually the first time I think I'd actually wanted the Alfa Bug, or had the Alfa Bug, and basically this one came up in Bristol. I'm Western, so it wasn't too far away. It was quite cheap, only because of the mileage, which I've only mentioned a few times, is 170,000 miles. But I'm quite proud of that, you know. That's why I keep banging on about it, because, you know, Alfas have this reputation of being unreliable and falling apart and, you know, this, that and the other. Well, you know, this one, which is the 1.8 twin spark, you know, so it's the petrol engine as well, you know, is coming up to, well, 171,000 miles and still going. I've only had really a couple of issues. It had to go back after a month or so because I had a noise coming from, I think it was from the driver's side front, because you might remember on test drive when I came back, although I love the car and the, you know, the feel of the car, it did have an almighty knock. I mean, that's like an understatement really. I mean, I thought the front wheel was going to fall off. It turned out to be the top arm. But in fairness to the garage, you know, they put a new one on there, you know, put it through its MOT, and it was fine. And then, of course, you know, 1 month later, the other side started knocking. But that turned out to be the drive shaft, or the CV joint, I think it was, but I think they put a new shaft on it anyway for me. And it's been great. You know, admittedly, I haven't done the mileage. I've only covered about, I think, 1600 miles since I've picked it up. Roughly about 300 of that was that road trip to Wales that we did last year. I think that was May. Although, having said that, when it came back, it was a little bit bruised and battered. There wasn't another noise, but that seemed to have rectified itself now. So I don't know what that was. But no, leading up to this MOT, I've loved it. You know, for all its creaks and rattles that it gets, I still love driving it. You know, 12 months on, I still love the look of it. When I park it up, I'll walk away and have a little sneaky look over my shoulder. So the fact I had to spend, you know, just over £600 getting it through, you know, I didn't think it was too bad. You know, that was replacing 2 tyres, rear shock absorbers, rear springs, and top mounts. And if I really wanted to be really tight, I could have just done one side, but, you know, I want to keep this car for as long as I can, really, keep it going, and hopefully maybe be its last owner. So I don't mind spending the money on it, because I know it'll last me a long time. And if I do one side, I know next week the other side will go anyway. So now it's got an MOT on it. There were a few little cosmetic things that I want to get done, which I did touch on in my previous video. The rip in the seat, which, like I said, is only cosmetic, but just really annoying that every time I get into the car I can see it, and I've been quoted in the region of about £80 to get that done. So I was planning to get the wheels refurbished prior to the MOT, because I knew it was going to need tyres, and I thought, well, I'll wait until it needs tyres and then get the wheels refurbished at the same time. And then of course the rear suspension basically falling apart put a stop to that. So yeah, I still want to get the wheels done, but it's £300, and I've just spent out £600 on it, and that's going to be pushing up to nearly £1,000, nearly half what the car was worth when I purchased it. And although I suppose in a strange sort of way, if the engine decides to pack up completely and I have to sell it for parts, and I might get a few quid out of 4 refurbished cloverleaf wheels and decent tyres. As some of you might have seen on Twitter, I went with the Kumo, I think it's the PS72s, PS71s, sorry. So I went with those in the end, because I asked for a bit of advice a few months ago, just getting people's opinion on what tyres are best, really. I mean, like I said, I work in the trade, but I'm no tyre expert. So the other choice was the Uniroyal Rain Sports. They were a little bit more. But yeah, the Kumo seem okay. I've not had a chance, they're on the back at the moment, the new ones. I haven't had a chance to swap them to the front. I've missed driving the Alfa, and this is like I said, a perfect excuse to stretch its legs and give it a good drive, post all that work on the rear suspension, just making sure it's all okay. But in fairness, I can't hear anything unusual. It's really nice, actually. It feels certainly a lot better. If you've seen the state of the old shock absorber, which I'll put on screen now, then I would think it would make a difference. If you're wanting to itch the Alfa scratch, then I can highly recommend the GT. They're quite a rare sight nowadays on the road. I think I've only seen one other one in Weston where I live. So it's nice to have a car that not many people have. The other one that people go for is the GTV, which again is a lovely car. I mean, I've got 2 daughters, so I need something that's a bit more practical. I suppose the bottom line is, 12 months on, I've loved every minute of owning an Alfa. And yes, there's been literally some bumps in the road along the way. It's nothing that I wouldn't expect from any car, really, unless you're sort of talking, a brand new car. Anything that's sort of 15 years old, which this is, you are going to get some niggles. But the rewards are just so much more. It's just a fantastic car to drive, and this won't be my only Alfa. I really want to get the 159, the sport wagon, the estate one. In my opinion anyway, one of the best looking estate cars I think on the market. Not quite sure how long I'll keep this for. It was a little bit of a midlife crisis at the time. I was hitting 40 and, like I said, wanted an Alfa for quite a few years. The opportunity arose to get one, which was low risk. I always knew that if I bought it, even if I fell out of love with it in a few months or it went bang, then I'd only really lost £2,000, which, yeah, nobody wants to lose £2,000. If I lost £2,000 down the back of a sofa, trust me, I'd go get it. But in the grand scheme of things, the risk factor was very low, and I knew that I could always sell it for parts. It's got a nice interior, bar that tear, which, like I said, I'll sort out. But it has been looked after. It's also been slightly ruined by those aftermarket fog lights that were fitted when I bought it, but luckily I've taken them out, and I have managed to get hold of a second-hand bumper grille, which is good because new they're about £130, which is extortionate. But I picked one up from eBay for £30, and I'm keeping an eye on another one which is about £60, so I might put in a cheeky bid for that one and see if I can get that one and complete the set. A new clutch was fitted by the previous owner, so I know the clutch is good. Cam belt was done in 21, so that doesn't need to be done, I think, till I think it's 25. I think it's 4-year interval, so yeah, 2025. So, and I might not still have it then. You know, I don't know. This is the exciting thing about car ownership. You don't know how long you're going to have them for. It's just that moment when maybe I'll park it up and I don't look back at it and I go, well, perhaps that's a sign telling me that it's time to move it on, time to give it to someone else to enjoy. Thank you very much for all the likes and support, not only on my Twitter channel, but also on this YouTube channel here. Although I've only got 200 subscribers, of course I'd like a bit more, but you know, 200, that's 200 people. But my views on my videos are quite healthy. I think my last one, which was the road trip to Wales, is about 3,000 now, something like that. And the my first ever update video on the Alfa, just after picking it up, or certainly looking at it, I should say, again was about 3,000. So yeah, I'm really impressed with that. When I set out to do this channel, you know, I called it Content Cars because it was supposed to be all things cars, you know, not just the Alfa. But of course, you know, when I set up that channel, I didn't have the Alfa. I had the Mark II Focus, or Mark I facelift, whichever way you want to call it. And I thought, oh, I'll just go and look at an Alfa and just document it and see what happens. And in fairness, the channel's been, you know, growing strongly with just my Alfa videos. So I'll continue to do those for as long as you enjoy watching them, really. I've even started dabbling with some merchandise, with some t-shirts and some jumpers. If you're desperate and you want a key ring or a mug, then hit me up. But yeah, it's early days yet. There's a few car shows coming up. There's the Classic Car Show at Chepstow Racecourse at the end of April, which is just across the bridge, so it's not far. So I think I'll be making my way over to there. Retro Rides Weekender, I think that's what it's called, is beginning of May, so might go to that. We'll see what happens. Then the Auto Fest, I think it's July. So yeah, there's a fair few car shows coming up. There's a few local ones. I think there's one in Clevedon every Sunday of end of the month or something like that. I think there is. So that's quite handy because that's just sort of a 20-minute jaunt down the road. So I'm definitely going to be getting some footage on that. And as time goes on, hopefully I'll get slightly better at doing the videos. I've invested in a new microphone. That was purely really for the in-shots video of the Alfa, because the sheer amount of road noise and rattles, I don't think you'll be able to hear me over the phone mic. So hopefully you can hear me okay today. So yeah, I think that's going to be it really. I just wanted to bring you a short update video. I didn't want to bang on for too long, I promise. So thank you very much for watching. Take care of yourselves, and I'll see you soon on Content Cars.